Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. Today, we're going to be looking at Ethereum and its valuations against Bitcoin, seeing the breakdown. Remember, if you do like this video and the other videos that I make on this channel, be sure to hit the like button down below and also consider subscribing. Well, yesterday was the day where we finally broke the line. Um, we were hoping that this line would hold, but with anything on the daily, especially like a short-term structure like this, even if we do see consistent support and resistances, it doesn't necessarily have to play out like we like it to do. So in this case, it is breaking down. We are probably going to see lower valuations against Bitcoin. Um, and is something that is somewhat expected during this period of Bitcoin being below the 20-week moving average. Now, how low can it go? Well, that's entirely up to Bitcoin. Depends on, if the longer Bitcoin takes below the 20-week moving average, more likely the lower the valuation is going to be by the time Bitcoin decides to cross back over it. So let's flip it to the weekly and get a sense of where is the nearest kind of support region for Ether Bitcoin. Now, the closest one would be essentially this area here. Let's see. This area here, which holds in the previous cycle support and resistances, right? So we see them here, here, and here. And so we already went there once before on the week of May 17th. We wicked down to this level and we went back up. This might be the second test. So if we just get rid of these lines now because they're broken, they're not much of use for us anymore. If we look, we can see that we might be doing a double bottom, and we're making our way back down to this area. Now let's see if this is going to hold. We're relatively close to it. We would have to drop an additional maybe five or so percent to get into this region. But again, it is a region. It ranges from 0.058 roughly to 0.052. So it's a pretty big range to say the least. But it will all start with a 5% drop. So from 5% from here is when we start entering the region, and then at that point we can start really looking and waiting to see how Ethereum is going to react. Now with Bitcoin, it really seems like it just wants to move sideways. If we look on the daily, it was funny. Like yesterday, we saw a lot of people saying like 40K was resistance, short here. People talking about the Fed, waiting for the Fed's response. Um, in all honesty, it's just doing Bitcoin's doing what it has been doing for the past few weeks, which was essentially move sideways. On the weekly, it looks a little different because the sideways movement was interweek, so we do see these wicks happening every so often, but it does look like it's moving upwards. So we're kind of getting mixed signals here, and I think eventually we'll get a better idea on what Bitcoin wants to do when we get more data on the weekly. Is this actually going to be a slow grind up? Are we actually going to be starting to move sideways like we are doing on the daily, and that's going to reflect it on the weekly? We need more candles to figure that out. But in the meantime, uh, if it is going to move sideways, the drops the drops that Bitcoin is going to do on the weekly is going to greatly affect altcoins. Most likely, more so than the moves up from Bitcoin, which may result in Bitcoin valuations of altcoins to go up. In other words, the dumps are going to outweigh the pumps, and therefore we're going to have a trend that's going down, relatively speaking, against its Bitcoin valuation. Against the US dollar, Ethereum's now trading at just shy under $2,400. We're still above the 20-week moving average, but again, if the dumps are going to be more outweighing the pumps in terms of percentages, odds are the US dollar is going to trend down, and the 20-week moving average is not going to help us at this point. We are at the we're essentially being held hostage by Bitcoin. With that said, we'll see how this plays out. with Ethereum this close to the 20-week moving average, Ethereum would really need to start moving against Bitcoin. This even with it in these circumstances, which is a tall order. So with that said, I think it's this process of Bitcoin being under the 20-week moving average every week. I feel like I need to say, like, look, we need to come to expectations. We need to accept the current environment that we are in. Ethereum is going to struggle. All coins are going to struggle. And no matter how hard we hope that they won't, they most likely will struggle against Bitcoin. While Bitcoin's below the 20-week moving average, and if we look in history, Bitcoin takes a long time, relatively long time, for it to get back above the 20-week moving average. It's not an easy feat. Anyway, that's all for today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye bye.